Hey everybody, 25th. It's the Plant-Based Morning Show. We're presented by Compliment at lovecompliment.com. That is our supplement company. Doug, you're doing some dancing. I noticed a disturbing pattern, a troubling pattern over the past week or so of you doing these
What's
dances.
that? More dancing? More dancing?
Yeah, there's no
I think
music or anything.
that's been pretty consistent, Matt, for most of
really?
the show, where do a little bit of dances right when we start off.
Okay. Maybe it's that we no longer start out and then add you to Instagram and then you come in. I think it's just like because you read it from the start.
I mean, I got to do
But it's
something.
all right.
I can't just sit there and put on my thumbs, you know?
I don't know if you do. I think you can just sit there. I think you can just sit there and like smile, nod, some notes, prepare for the show. Good, proper broadcaster. Anyway, you're looking good today. Looking very sharp. Button-up shirt. 2 days in a row of these button-up flannels I've seen. Tee underneath. I like it.
Thank you. Thank you.
Any occasion for that, or just normal stuff, normal clothes?
Just normal old shirts. Just what I pulled out of the closet.
All right. Good.
Yeah.
All right. Well, it's my last show of the week. That is a good thing. That makes me extra bright and chipper. I have nothing tomorrow because I'm traveling, so I will not be on the Plant-Based Afternoon Show with you, Isabel, and I think Matt Tolman will be there this week. Sounds like it'll be a bit of a running takeover, a fitness-focused show. We'll see what happens, though. Is that accurate? Fair to say?
That's the rumor that I'm hearing, but I don't know who's organizing it. So,
right.
We'll see. But is this a soccer trip or is it a pleasure trip?
No, it's our family friends 75th birthday, I think, party that we're going to. Just flying up for one night, Friday night party thing, then back home Saturday to get back to soccer.
Okay.
Yeah, so it'll be good. So pleasure, I guess. It'll just be a busy, packed day and a half or day.
Sounds good.
Yeah. Anyway, so I don't know what. Let's see. I don't have too much other stuff. I made some fake meat last night. Barbecue sandwiches is that Charlotte company, and they're getting around. I started to hear their name mentioned in other places too. They make pretty good barbecue pork kind of sandwiches. You know what it seems like to me? That Louisville jerky that you and I both like. It seems like if you just put that into a pan with some oil and sauteed it, that's what it comes out like. And it's very good. Works very well on a barbecue sandwich. Had some coleslaw that I made, and it was a nice little easy dinner. But there's the fake meat use case again. I'm still using it, especially when it's like a little different format than the boring kind.
We had some as well last night. We had some Gardein meatballs, spaghetti meatball dinner.
Okay.
They were good. I like that. You cook them in the sauce, they get moist. They turn out pretty good.
Yeah. Right. Justin Kerner's got a great comment here. Doug hangs with Rip one time, and now he dresses all fancy. That is true. That kind of marked the turning point, didn't it?
Yeah, I mean, I'm kind of a big deal now.
Now you are.
Kind of a big deal these days.
Maybe you saw how an influencer can be, how a plant-based influencer can be, and now you've got a model for what you can be.
Yeah. Now I know, because all these years of watching you, I just didn't do it.
You thought it was just okay to kind of slouch, wear sweatshirts and stuff, but no, it can be done at another level.
Yeah, we got our first CSA box of the year.
Okay,
which is
that's
cool.
good.
We took last year off because we were investing more time and energy into the garden, but it kind of missed it throughout much of the year, just because the CSA produces way more variety than our little garden can. And so we went back this year it's our friends own the farm, so it's their CSA. But the two, mostly greens this early in the season, but the two that I was most excited about were ones I didn't know. Do you know Mizuna greens?
I've heard of it, but I couldn't tell you what it looks like or tastes like.
They are Japanese. Oh man, I had it all pulled up, and now I've lost it.
Mizuno makes good running shoes, batting gloves.
Yeah. Asian green. They're kind of like frilly. That makes sense. Lots of like little arms that stick out. Very good raw. Apparently, they're also good sauteed. They have like a little peppery taste to them, kind of mustardy, greeny, but not quite nearly as strong as a mustard green. Added them to a salad there last night. Very, very good. I could munch on that all day.
Yeah.
And then the Komatusa, Komatsuna greens.
Is your friend's farm in Japan by chance?
It is it's not, but apparently they're into the Asian greens, the Japanese greens. This one is also a mustard green. It looks much more like a mustard green and tastes much more like a mustard green.
Okay. Mustard green, I believe, cruciferous vegetable. So you get that benefit.
Yeah, I don't like what I like about the box, and I know you're not a huge CSA person, but what I really quite like about the box is that it does I mean, it introduces you to new greens, and then I got excited about making a huge salad last night with all these new greens that we weren't needing to make, or we may have had like a small salad on the side just with the grocery store greens, or something like that, with our spaghetti and meatballs. But but there was broccoli, there was other stuff, other veggies in the dish already, and now I got excited. I just went home and made a huge salad afterwards, and so I don't know. I think I'm a fan of the CSA.
Yeah, I'm not a fan. I liked when we did it. I think that left a bad taste in my mouth when we started getting too much zucchini, and I just started feeling like they were just like taking advantage of us. And I don't remember. Was it expensive? Is it like, are you basically like subsidizing the farm in some way? Like, I'm gonna help.
Not this one. It's like $20 a week or something like that. But it was, it was like 5 different types of greens, some sprouts, and some radishes. It was well worth $20. So,
well worth.
I mean, you're committing to it, and it's a lot of greens. Like, you have to commit to actually eating all the greens. If you're not eating all the food, then it would be expensive and probably a little bit of a waste of money. But if you're committed to actually eating the greens,
yeah, I like it too. I mean, I like having new stuff that you have to learn how to cook or look up new recipes and things like that. It's always good, and greens are always great. If I got more greens, if I could just like subscribe to a greens box and every week they sent me a bunch of greens, different ones, I would do that. Because I really like, especially sauteed greens. That's just a perfect side dish for me.
Yeah, totally.
Good
way to get rid of greens too. Saute them down, because you can take a lot of greens, make a little dish. Everybody agrees I'm a big deal. Dill. Kate says I'm a dill, which is maybe how I pronounce it. was that
you do pronounce it that way, but I also think it's a vegetable joke, maybe.
Oh, vegetable joke. Okay. Anne-Marie got her CSA box: red potatoes, green beans, broccoli, eggplant, corn on the cob. Wow, that's much different than mine. It's someone's birthday today. It's Leslie's birthday.
Oh, there we go. We don't have any birthdays in the PBMS audience somehow.
56. Happy birthday, Leslie Knight, running 5.6 miles for her 56th birthday.
Look at that.
All right.
Very good. Leslie's devoted runner. That is cool. And Anne-Marie turns 56 in a couple months. Same age.
All right. Cool. Mr. Jeffrey's here. Kate C's here. Kate Rivercat.
Good. Mr. Jeffrey was sorely missed yesterday. Not sure where he was. Not going to ask. But whatever. Good. All right. Good. Glad to hear it. I don't have too much else new today. My dog had an incident yesterday where he had a cone on because he got neutered, and he had a string that you would tie the cone onto him with, fasten it on with, I should say. And that string went missing after he got the cone removed. We took the cone off. And it turned out he ate the cone. So he was having diarrhea and vomiting and all this stuff. And we're like, we're going to have to go to the vet.
Cone or ate the string?
No, the string. Sorry, the string from the cone. And he's only a small little puppy. So that was in his stomach. Long string, like 16 inches long and kind of a thick string. Luckily, he vomited it up before bed last night because I thought we were in for a big vet bill and an emergency morning if he was still having an issue. So that was good. That's all I got going on. Not too much. And my sleep was a little shortened, but not too bad.
There you go.
Yes. One more reason not to have a dog, right, Doug?
One more reason not to have a dog. Now vet bills.
Vet bills. I meant more like the worrying about your precious animal.
Oh yeah. I mean, I worry about enough people eating things they're not supposed to at the moment. So
yeah.
Yeah.
Casey says, what kind of dog? He's a Chihuahua mix. That's his most part, 50% Chihuahua or so, but his other part is miniature pincher, or another small part is miniature pincher, and that's what he looks most like. He looks like a miniature pincher.
Justin wants to know if we have recommendations for race week meals. Let's attack that question real quick.
Yeah, that's a good one. I mean, I don't know. I'm kind of out of the racing game. I know in those last 2 days, I really think it is a good thing to stock up on or load up on carbohydrates. Not like crazy carb eating, but like, drink some juices and things as your drinks, without doing anything that's so different from what you normally do, I guess, because you don't want to upset any stomachs or anything. But I think I remember our friend Jason Fitzgerald used to have research about how a really large percentage of marathoners at some marathons that they tested did not have enough carbohydrate in their system. That was only one study. In hindsight, I just totally believed it. I kind of dug it. I just said, well, that must be true. But but now I'm like, that was just one study, one marathon. Who knows? Who knows who did that research? But anyway, that's what I always believe. So I did focus more on that. In the days before that, even before like the 2 or 3 days before the race, I wouldn't know, Doug. I think you probably know better than I what's going to work best. So what would you do then?
You know what my approach is? I have two considerations. One is carbs. The other one is eating things that are not going to upset, like that I know I'm going to have regular bowel movements and no like uncomfortable bloating or anything like that. And so eating fairly clean, not like eating a ton of new greens, not a ton of fried foods, nothing like that. So like for me, it's I bet you can guess it's oftentimes a burrito or some sort of taco dish, a little white rice, some veggies, some beans, and a tortilla. And I'll often do that. That's usually my night before race, my night before, instead of a pasta dish. But then some sort of simple pasta. But honestly, I mean, like I worry more about the comfort and the regular pooping than I do about like the macros.
Yeah, that's a good point. I learned that lesson after a handful of races, that like there's all this advice about what you need and how much grams of what and how much water you should be drinking every hour leading up to your race. And like what matters really is that things are pretty good, and going to the bathroom part of it. Because I often had to pee in the beginning of a race, like for the first like 5 or 6 miles, and it was like a terrible start. I just didn't want to be dealing with that early in the race, but it happened because I'd drink so much fluid just following instructions that I had read. So I think that's really important. Doing things that are comfortable and that like just works for you and isn't going to cause problems. That's a major part of it, I think. Just doing things that won't cause problems themselves. You mentioned the pasta dinner. I always heard that like everyone said that the real advice is eat the carbs at lunch on the day before the race, not at dinner, because it gets in your system more and then
smaller dinner,
your sleep or something. But you mentioned dinner. You not go by that rule?
Well, I typically don't go by the rule, but I eat a pretty early dinner, especially if I'm before a race, like a 5 p.m. dinner, and nothing too big. Like, and I remember in high school before cross country meets, we would go and have pasta dinners as a team, and everyone would just like, have bowls and bowls and like just you'd be so stuffed afterward. And none of that. I mean, again, it comes back to comfort, but also just like a smaller meal so that you don't have all this kind of stuff in your stomach the next morning.
Right. I remember also reading a few places saying, since you're going to be tapering and that race week, you're likely not putting in miles, you actually should be eating a little bit less food if you don't want to put on an extra couple pounds before the race, which kind of makes sense. If you don't want to, if you're a serious racer and every 2 pounds makes a big difference, then I guess you'd want to adjust your feeding down with your volume.
And it also depends on how long you're running, right? Like, if you're running a 50-mile or 100-mile race, like eating at lunch doesn't matter as much as if you're doing a half marathon or something.
Right. Because the intensity is much lower. Yeah. Good. Okay.
Good luck.
So we got, what's that?
On his race. Good luck.
Oh, good luck. Yeah. Yes. Good luck. Tell us about that. Tell us how it goes and what it is and all that.
I have a couple of updates from things we've talked about from the Discord.
Okay, let's do that. What is Mr. Jeffrey buying Uncrustables for yesterday? How could that be its own shopping trip? I don't understand.
That's not a good excuse for missing the morning show, Mr. Jeffrey. Come on.
All right, what are your updates, Doug? We got economics update, I hope? Supply and demand?
No, I actually, like, I really want to share this with you. And I haven't heard back from them. And so I started doing more Googling and searching for it yesterday, and I couldn't do it because I want to prove that I wasn't totally crazy. But,
well, until then, there's a new verb in place that is called dugging something, and it just means you read something or listen to something, you just believe it. Okay, that must be true. Some expert said it, or a study showed it. So, yeah, that's how you dug something.
JJ says that this is back to the dogs, vegan dogs, and that different dogs have different typical lifespans. The larger the dog, typically shorter the lifespan, and the outliers are pugs and bulldogs who have a shorter lifespan.
Okay.
And the vegan, and then they say the vegan food prices are on par because we talked about whether the prices were similar to premium kibble or wet food prices.
Okay,
So,
that's in reference to the dog food article yesterday. But we shared new research saying that apparently the most comprehensive research yet, although it only had 15 dogs in the study or something like that, or 11 dogs, but it basically showed that no health differences, and in some cases better health from a completely vegan dog food diet. So that's interesting. Yeah, I mean, I guess that's what I would have expected. You're paying the same as you would for very premium food. So I don't know. We pay pretty good food for our dog, so I don't. Maybe it wouldn't be too much more to do that.
And then one more update. I mentioned the other day that there were some Kenyan runners who let the Chinese runner win the marathon.
Yep, and we're in trouble for it or in some way.
Yep. So they all got disqualified. Apparently, they were signed up as pacers and not competitors.
Okay.
But they ended up running the whole thing. You know, lots of times pacers and marathon stuff will run the first half
Right.
of it or something like that, kind of set the pace. You know, keep the group moving forward at a certain thing. But they apparently signed up. It's 3 of them, and ended up running the whole thing. And so they could have won the race.
Winning the whole thing. The Pacers would have won the whole race. Is that correct?
Yeah.
Had they
okay. Had they not let the Chinese runner pull ahead. So they got disqualified for I don't know whether it's because they were technically considered pacers and not competitors, or because they let the guy win. But
I mean, yeah, they weren't even qualified to begin with. They were pacers. They weren't.
Yeah.
They weren't racing.
So.
Well, that's interesting. I mean, you got to ask, why wouldn't, if they thought they could win a race and there was actual money involved, why wouldn't they sign up to do it? Are they are you cannot win money in a Chinese race if you're not Chinese or something? Maybe it was like the Chinese national.
They got hired. They got paid to be pacers, and then
by that guy,
or I don't know, by the race. Maybe the race was trying to set a new competitive. I don't know.
But then they left whoever they were pacing, or maybe they finished their pacing duties and then just kept going way faster than their runner.
Like, oh, this is easy. Let's finish our long run.
That's pretty funny.
Yeah, it's funny.
All right.
Good. That's the end of my
updates. Where'd you get those? Discord?
NoMeatAthlete.com/Discord. Join in. There's still chatter almost every day. People are chiming in on stuff.
That's a treasure trove. There's a lot of information that people follow up with things on articles that things talk about, and it's good. People know a lot of stuff. They more than this audience who comes here every day does. Somehow they always have a lot of it. Maybe because they have time to go do research or something. But they always find us good links and things.
Yep, that's right.
All right. And Keely on the dog note says she does VDog personally, have for years with her 12-year-old dog. Sometimes supplementing with some chicken and fish treats and things because scared of making them 100% vegan. But it was cool to hear that study. So yeah, it's good. Check it out though. Do your own research. I don't, like I said, one study doesn't mean much, and who knows? I don't think VDog sponsored that one, but you never know. So just look into that stuff. But yeah, it appears to me that dogs can be vegan and be all right.
But we do know it said in the article that they had no tie. Yeah.
Okay. But yeah, we know that, but we don't. It's still just one study, and I'm just saying again, Doug. We can't just Doug things. We don't know. Yes, they didn't directly fund the survey, but I don't know what the names of the groups that did fund the survey, what those are. I didn't look into those groups and see if VDog has the same chair people on there. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
We got to dig deeper. We got to just go that extra mile to find the truth.
It's true. It's true. Sometimes you got to map things and just be negative about it, no matter what.
That's right. You got to be skeptical. Okay. Let's get to the weather report. Actually, quite a lengthy weather report today. And I was kind of shocked at how much bad news there was today and stuff, or just sort of negativity. So speaking of mad,
come on, man, bring the good news.
But here's my bit of positivity. I'm calling today. I'm saying this marks the bottom of public sentiment about plant-based diets, because I think this is as bad as it gets. There's always the days when all the media outlets have the same story and they're saying the same bad things, usually exaggerated. But but that's a different story. In this case, it was like 10 different stories, maybe not 10, maybe 7 different things, and they were just all bad news for plant-based diets or people's perception of them. So I'm saying this is as low as it gets. If it goes lower than this, veganism goes away, is abolished, done.
Wow.
But I think
Wow.
it can't go lower. So I think from here, I think this will be the beginning of climbing out of the situation we're in and finding whatever the new plant-based diet is, which hopefully doesn't involve
Does
all
that mean that
plant-based.
today is the worst day in the history of the vegan diet? Is that
Yeah, I think so.
okay?
I mean, maybe it was lower when it started, but then we're at a local bottom for sure right now.
Okay.
And it will go up from here. It's my prediction.
Wow.
It's my call. Mark my words. April 25th is the day it all changed, or the
Okay.
day it
Big
bottomed.
day. Big day.
But there are a few positive notes, or just people grasping for something. So we'll get into that first. Actually, Veganuary has launched a new thing. I don't think they've ever done this before, at least that I know of, besides Veganuary itself. But starting next Monday, it's Choose Chicken Free Week. So across the United States, it's not a UK thing, which is where Veganuary began. There are going to be discounts and special offerings from various brands. Veggie Grill, Next Level Burger are in on it. Tyndall, Ike's Love and Sandwiches, Vitacost, Fire Road, that's Brendan Brazier's company, Plant Burger, PLNT, and Loma Linda. They're all offering discounted chicken things, chick apostrophe N stuff. And the point, I guess, is for people to, I didn't read this, but I kind of inferred this, that it was like, if Veganuary is not your thing, if that's too big, here's Choose Chicken Free Week. It's just a week and it's just chicken.
Mm-hmm.
And you get to, dip your toe in. So
do you just not eat chicken, or do you actively choose chicken alternative?
I think you just don't eat chicken, but they're offering all these alternatives to make it easier. I'm just guessing here. I don't really know. I think Veganuary, at the end of the day, their mission is to get people to not eat the chicken. So I don't think this cares so much, but I'm sure some of these partnerships and things, maybe they do hope people will buy some of the chicken stuff, fake chicken stuff. This sounds like not a big deal to me. And like I said, like maybe just sort of a last gasp of like trying something, Hail Mary kind of situation. But I did start out my vegetarian diet kind of the same way. It was just 10 days, and it actually wasn't without chicken. I had already been not eating beef, and I was now going to not eat chicken anymore and just go for 10 days and eat only fish. And that was like a big jump for me. That felt like, because chicken was like my thing, or turkey.
Mm-hmm.
Like that was the protein source that I hung on to because I didn't like fish that much. So that was the thing that allowed me to keep, being a normal eater out at restaurants and at people's houses and things. So getting rid of that was something. And so I do wonder, like, are there people for whom this will be that thing? And they'll say, wow, this feels really good, eating mostly vegetables, maybe having fish twice in the week or something. The problem is a lot of people still eat beef. And so, like, I think this kind of misses all of them. Like, whoever is going to just keep eating their hamburgers and stuff, but now stop eating their chicken or swap that for this. Yeah. I don't see that really happening.
Yeah, that's the part that I don't quite get. See, I like these. I love these little challenges. I think Veganuary is really cool, and I think a week long one would be great. My vegan story started with Zid Habits. What's his name? Leo Babaltas.
Yep.
He did a 7-day vegan challenge, and that was me. And so I think these things are great.
Right.
I wonder about the just chicken free part. To me, that seems like it's kind of missing some opportunity, but
Yeah. Why didn't they just start with beef free week? I wonder, or like red meat free week, or sorry, I mean like pork, beef, 4-legged animal free week.
Mm-hmm.
It just seems like that would be like the first step. And I perceive that stuff as worse. And that's why I got rid of that for like a whole year before I went to this next step. But I just wonder why they went with chicken. Like, is chicken maybe consumed way more than those things are? And
I think isn't it the most consumed animal?
I'm not sure, but I could see that.
Pork
is the most consumed.
Followed by poultry, chicken. Let's see. 36% of the world eats pork. Followed by poultry, 33%, beef, 24%, and then goats and sheep, 5%.
I wonder if the U.S. is different than that, because I can't picture many Americans eating pork like all the time. I know people eat their pork chops and maybe their hot dogs, but and bacon, of course. But I don't see like You don't see a lot of dishes at restaurants that are based on pork or fast food places, unless I'm just missing something. Maybe I'm forgetting something entirely. Anyway, doesn't matter for now. So that's happening here. They do have some other plans that are coming for the summer. Choose Fish Free Week.
Oh yeah, chicken in the United States. Chicken. Sorry.
Number one. Okay.
Keep going.
All right. So Choose Fish Free Week is coming. I'm trying to imagine if that will make an impact on anybody. I don't know. I mean,
most people I would say have maybe fish once a week would be my guess.
Most people probably fish free generally. I would imagine most people have more fish free weeks than fish weeks. But certainly there's some people who eat fish once or twice a week. Barbecue month. They don't mention about barbecue. What about it? Just says BBQ month. So it'd be odd if Veganuary just launched a barbecue month. And then Choose Dairy Free Week. So
that would be a good one. I think.
Yeah, I like that one. I think a lot of people would try that. So anyway, that's kind of good. It's happening. I like these smaller challenges than Vegan for a Whole Month, because Vegan for a Whole Month certainly sounds intimidating and would have been for me at the very start, for sure. Okay, so there's that. On to the next, and then a little bit of bad news here is that a new Yahoo News / YouGov poll of 1,700 U.S. adults said that 52% of respondents still drink some type of milk at least occasionally, and they prefer the cow's milk over the dairy. That was the headline, is that they prefer that taste. 32% and 22% of the was for whole milk and cow's milk generally. And only 9% wanted plant-based milk as their like favorite milk. So I don't know if that matters or not, because that's about the share of the market is 10%, I think. So not really that shocking, but those people do like that better. On the plus side, over in Spain, 48% of meat consumers, this is a different study, over the last year said they have reduced their meat intake, which is interesting because Spain is one of those meat heavier countries, that Mediterranean diet still, but one that has a whole lot of meat in it, a lot of pork culture, actually pork eating in terms of ham. So that's good. Then some of the bad news begins. Matthew Kenny got a write-up in the New York Times. I think it was yesterday. And there's like 3 other sites that have now kind of piggybacked off of that. It's kind of just, it's not good at all. He has a whole bunch of restaurants, Plant Food and Wine in Venice. I'm trying to figure out how many others. I think it was like 20 plus restaurants, maybe more than that even. Wow. But they said it is former employees and investors accuse him of alleged financial misconduct, racism against coworkers, and fostering a hostile workplace. There was financial misbehavior, a 30-year pattern of that, bounced employee checks, millions of dollars of lost investor money, 1.2 million in unpaid taxes in New York State, and dozens of lawsuits. They were in the documentary Bad Vegan. I never saw that. I remember it was like the talk of.
I watched it. Yeah.
Did you? And was it a documentary, or what was it?
It was
like a fiction.
I think it was just a single documentary. Could have been a docuseries, a couple episodes, something.
And what was it about? What was it exposed?
It was similar to this. It was about a vegan restaurateur who was
Sarah
made a big name for herself, and then it turned out to be a bad person, And then then she ended up embezzling a bunch of money and ordering non-vegan pizza at her Super 8 motel or something. I don't know. So I read this article and I almost sent it to you, but then I decided not to, because really it's the story of a famous restaurant owner, a successful restaurant owner, being much less successful than people think and making a lot of bad decisions, treating people poorly. Mm-hmm. Has nothing to do with the fact that he was vegan, other than I think people like that, that's like, ooh, the vegan, he was supposed to be all good and great for people is actually, kind of a jerk. And,
Yeah, I actually didn't read the whole New York Times piece. These summary articles, I've glanced at those. But I kind of had that sense that this is about a lot of stuff that is unrelated to veganism. It's just restaurant stuff, crime or misconduct or whatever you call it. I don't know. Yeah. So yeah, it actually is not that interesting, except that he is kind of, if you said name a famous vegan chef, he's the one I think most people would name, because he's made a name for himself as that. He has Plant Food and Wine. I don't know that one. Double Zero in 2019. I think these are all closed now, though. Double Zero is a pizza. It was a vegan pizza place in Venice Beach, or Venice. and I really wanted to go there but could not. I did go to Pure Food and Wine, which he ran with his partner and girlfriend Sarma Melnagilis, who I think that's who was in the Bad Vegan documentary. I went there during the Seth Godin event that I went to, or one of the Seth Godin events I went to, and it was the first time I'd ever been to a raw restaurant, and I didn't realize I didn't know who Matthew Kennedy was at the time, but I didn't think it was that good. Honestly, I really like it was a show. It wasn't good food. It was just like, look how colorful this plate is, and it's all raw, and how interesting this stuff is. But it's not like it was really great stuff. But that might go for all raw food. It's just it's its own type of thing, and I think you gotta know what you're getting.
Yeah.
You ever been to one? Ever been to a Matthew Kennedy restaurant, Doug?
Have I ever been to one?
To a Matthew Kennedy restaurant?
No, I don't think so.
Yeah, I think that's the only one I've been to. Okay. The other thing about that interesting is that this stuff started. I read an article. It must have been 3 or 6 months ago, maybe probably 6 months ago. Similar things going on about Matthew Kennedy's crumbling empire and how there was a lot of wrongdoing behind the scenes. But like, it's odd to me that seemingly no one talks about this. I don't know what. Like, I don't know. I just kind of thought that sort of stuff would go viral and everyone would be talking about it, but it's like, it seems like no one cares.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I guess I think that people do care because of the fact that he's vegan, right? He's a vegan chef. I think that's why it's gotten as much press as it has.
Yeah. All right. Contrary to a viral Facebook post that went out, and too bad, disappointing news, Minnesota's U.S. Bank Stadium, home of the Vikings, will continue to offer food and beverage options to guests of all dietary preferences. It will not be going completely kill-free, entirely plant-based meat by September of this year, which is the post that went viral and led people to say things like, well, that's one venue I won't be visiting. And ever get the feeling that the left wants to destroy all fun and happiness, it gets harder and harder for me to even watch the NFL anymore. I saw
Did they backpedal, or was that never the plan? And someone
it was some account that often shares fake kind of stuff like this, posted it, and it just went viral.
Are they? Was there any truth to like are they expanding their vegan options or anything?
I think I read that like in 2019 they were on PETA's list of best stadiums. And maybe they've been on that list since 2019. So I do think it is a good one, a particularly vegan-friendly place. But I didn't see this in real time. I only saw this after it was, debunked, which now is on USA Today and Reuters, and all these people are saying it's fake. But I don't think I would have believed this from the beginning. This sounds to me like the type of news that would have come out in 2016.
Yeah.
And everyone said like, oh my gosh, I can't believe it. And like a stadium would do that to make a splash because they were betting on a trend. And just doing it. But, NFL, that's far-fetched to begin with. That any NFL market would want that.
Right.
And then nowadays, with vegan, which we've only gotten a few of the negativity today, but with the reputation, I mean, nobody would do that nowadays. It just would be a disaster for a stadium to do that.
Yeah. Yeah, it would be a big surprise for sure. Yeah. I mean, but I don't know. People believe the damnedest things.
Oh, yeah, I'm not surprised it went viral, but it just doesn't seem like a believable prank to me. Okay, popular LA restaurant, Sage Vegan Bistro is one of many that is rebranding, transitioning to serving meat, dairy, and eggs. The chef, Molly Engelhart, is switching to regenerative farming practices. She said that I don't have the exact quote here. She did think it was, she thought the vegan diet was the best when she started, but now she has changed her mind. She does not think it's the healthiest thing anymore compared to this. She says we'll be shifting from an all plant-based menu to high quality protein from the highest quality, most integrity regenerative farms, which will feature beef, bison, fried eggs, and other products like that. PETA accused them of serving greenwashed and humane washed meat, dairy, and eggs, and described the shift as a betrayal to animals.
Another one bites the dust.
It does. And I mean, you see these every week. There's a handful of these things. They're usually in local papers. This one was bigger than that. I think it actually was a popular vegan spot in LA. But man,
so this one isn't it. I mean, it might be partially for restaurant, just for business reasons. But before they were blaming it. Really, what we've seen is that people are saying that they need to in order to survive, they need to start serving animal products. But this person's saying that her beliefs have changed, right?
Well, she said that, yes, and she elaborated on that even more, about how important, not just for health, but for this regenerative farm thing, the soil quality and all this stuff. She talked about that, but then after that, it said she also listed or mentioned that, and there was some quote about how much her restaurants have struggled since the pandemic happened.
Mm.
So it could be something where it is about the money, but she thought it would be a better move to say it was about this stuff, and it's probably both. Honestly, I wouldn't be surprised with
Yeah.
how much different conversation there is now around this stuff. 10 years ago, anyone in the vegan area, it seemed like this is the obvious healthy diet. What is everybody else doing? Like, how are people ignoring this research or suppressing this research? Like, this is clearly the healthiest diet. I don't have that view anymore. Like, I think it's a very, very healthy one. But I don't have this sense that like it's the only possible way to, really be healthy. So I think, I don't know. I just have a feeling that a lot of people are having that shift.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right, there you go. So there is your weather report. Not so negative, but this is the main story of the day. It's from the Independent, and it's from 3 other places. This one was everywhere. The headline is "Calls for Plant-Based Alternatives to be Labeled with Warning Signs." And the new research, apparently, academics who are behind this new research are pointing to the need to point out that these plant-based alternatives are ultra-processed food. They think they should be labeled with a UPF label, which is not that different from what we have seen before. And what I'm wondering is, because I can't find the research. I swear I thought I saw it today, but I can't find the actual study where they are making this recommendation and what it is based on. But what they said, what I'm wondering is this the same thing as the conversation that we should be labeling UPF foods as UPF, and these happen to fall into that category?
Right.
So I don't know. I don't think it's just
Yeah.
that.
I mean, this is crazy. Like, are they actually singling out plant-based alternatives, or I mean,
I do think so. I think the study was purely about plant-based, and unfortunately, I just can't find the actual thing, and I need to. But I do think this is different from like the general UPF stuff, because here they were talking about different stuff. They mentioned specifically, they said our review has demonstrated that some products such as legume and vegetable-based drinks and legume and microprotein-based meats have the potential to be a useful stepping stone in the process. So they were talking specifically about these plant-based meat foods. They said there's limited evidence on the fact that swapping these things could suggest, the limited evidence available suggests it could be good for health, but the results for plant-based drinks were mixed with links to micronutrient deficiencies. And then they looked at like micronutrient compositions and compared those. So I don't, it's a little bit of a mystery to me what they're going for here, because throughout this article, they kind of mention how there's this possibility that this stuff could lead to a healthier diet. But I think they're kind of saying it's also possible that some of it won't. And we shouldn't just broadly assume that these plant-based versions of this stuff are good. Rather, we should let everybody know that these things are highly processed, ultra-processed foods.
Yeah, I mean, there's so many issues with this, right? I mean, there's issues with not all plant-based meats are the same, right? And so to lump them all in the same category.
Oh, by the way, on that note, sorry to interrupt you. This research excluded tofu, tempeh, and seitan, the foods of which have been part of traditional Asian diets for centuries, they say. So they were looking just at like the new modern plant-based meats, which is significant, because that's the majority of what I would say when I eat plant-based meat. That's usually what I am eating: tofu and seitan. So like all of what we're talking about here is a little bit out. I still think this ultra-processed food, the type of things I'm talking about, but tofu itself isn't.
Right. Yeah, and so I mean, I think you and I have talked a lot about the like labeling red, green, yellow, green, putting that on labels, and I think that would be a really healthy thing for us to do across the board, right? Looking at all foods and labeling them based on the ingredients that are in them, the amount of processing, et cetera. But singling out plant-based alternatives is to me an obvious attack on this idea that there should be alternatives to meat and dairy.
Yeah, and I am unsure whether that attack is just the media twisting stuff, which I kind of have the sense that it is based on the quotes in some of these articles. Like, they just don't match the headline of the article. The headline of the article is "Warning labels are being advised for plant-based things." And then you read the article and it says that some of these, while all plant-based alternatives are technically ultra-processed, they found the nutritional value of some products align with healthy dietary recommendations. So like they said that, they suggested establishing a clear division between products that are less processed and ultra-processed and conducting further studies. So like this isn't necessarily negativity. They're saying some of this stuff is and some isn't. It's again sort of that media and just the indicative of the sentiment around plant-based diets right now. Very, very low. All right. So I don't know what more to say about that. Hopefully I'll find that actual thing, the study itself, and we can talk about that next week, perhaps. Because that I think that is an interesting topic. For a lot of reasons. I don't want to get into them now, but yeah, a lot of interesting stuff around there. All right. The other thing I got today is something that I was not aware of at all. There's a show called Clarkson's Farm. Have you happened to hear about this, Doug?
No, I have not. Nope, this was new to me.
Okay. So I just looked at it. It's on Amazon Prime. It's a documentary. The series 3 has not yet launched. But Jeremy Clarkson apparently is like a British TV guy, like just sort of a TV personality. I don't know what you would call him. But he's been around, and somehow he while some of those people go and do like food shows and whatever, and later on, this guy has done a farm show. He became a farmer. He's not a very good farmer. The farm apparently, is not very productive. He has nicknamed it Diddley Squat, I think is the name of his farm, because it's renamed Diddley Squat because, to mean that it's not producing almost anything. But anyway, there was just an article about it, and I kind of had to piece this together as I was reading it, but I just thought it was kind of interesting. It was from telegraph.co.uk, and the headline is Jeremy Clarkson has exposed the lie at the heart of veganism. And then the subheadline, enjoying a good sandwich after all is surely the highest form of pig worship, ? A beast that dies happy genuinely tastes better. So after reading this article, Doug, do you have a sense for what the lie is that's being exposed?
That I think it's that animal farmers don't appreciate or value the animals.
Okay.
Is the theory.
Well,
I mean, because basically what he's saying is that, that Clarkson, so I don't know. I mean, is Clarkson, does he have animals on his farm?
Yes, he has animals on his farm. And the thing that's in the news that prompted this story is apparently the pigs, I think a whole lot of them have died before the slaughtering period or whatever would happen. I don't know anything about when that comes or what, if there's a season for that or what, but like they all died and something went wrong. It says this is from a different article. Jeremy Clarkson has been left in tears after his beloved piglets died in alarming numbers on his upcoming 3rd season of Clarkson's Farm. There's a horrific breeding tragedy, et cetera, et cetera. So they're crying and broken down. They show some, probably some dead piglets on the show, it looks like from the pictures. So he's very, very moved by this and very sad about this. And that's part of the show, I guess, that's going to be airing soon. And so that's what this article was then in response to.
Yeah. And I mean, so the guy who wrote it is basically arguing that, like, if you go to speak to any sort of pig farmer or cattle farmer, then they have an appreciation. His argument is that they have a very strong bond and appreciation to the animals and love and care for the animals, and value the animal. And I don't doubt that that's true. I mean, I don't doubt that, like, some farmers, I mean, not all farmers, I'm sure of it, but that some farmers, take a lot of pride in caring for their animals. But, this idea that, like, that means it's okay to then go and kill it, and that eating it is then a form of worshiping that animal, like that to me is so disconnected from reality.
Yeah, me too. I wrote an article in the very early days of No Meat Athlete that was about honoring the protein was the phrase. They used it on Top Chef, and I liked it. And somebody just made a mess of the whatever pig dish they were making, or pork dish or steak. I forget what it was, but they didn't like it. And the judges said that's not honoring the protein. You didn't use as well. And my post on this was No Meat Athlete was different back in those days. I would write about this kind of stuff, but it was like I just didn't see how that could be viewed as honoring something when it's pretty it's the opposite of honoring something, to raise it and then just kill it and then eat it. Like it just doesn't make sense to me. I get where they're coming from. I understand it. But I think if you just take a step back, it's crazy. So that I'm with you on that. It just doesn't seem right. But I will say I was surprised like to read this. They talk about this guy Clarkson, and just how much he cares about these animals and wants, well, this is the writer's interpretation. He's guessing. He says the sadness that I imagine Clarkson felt was about letting his animals down. He hadn't managed to take them right through to be slaughtered after a happy life and then turned into bacon. I don't think the pigs are let down by not being turned into bacon, but I do wonder, like, I guess the discussion that I think is interesting is like, is that really a life that an animal like that is worth living for an animal? One where it is on a farm, it is sort of happy, it goes through its routines, it does its stuff, and then one day it is slaughtered. Like, is that an okay life? It's not free at all.
No, it's not free. And I'm sure if you gave like pig the option of being slaughtered or living, I mean, I'm sure it would choose life, right?
Right. But what if it wasn't going to end in slaughter and it just gets these years either on a farm, doing stuff with other pigs and happy, or in the wild where all kinds of terrible things could happen. And it also is free to, just be a pig. I mean, I don't even know. Do pigs exist in the wild? I guess they do. Wild boar exist.
Yeah.
Yeah. So anyway, I just thought it was interesting, but I just couldn't figure out what the lie, like, even if that's true, even if this is true, and it is true, I believe it. That there are a lot of people who like they want to do right by their herd. One of the mentioned
Sure.
so this guy says, I'll never forget going to see a farmer in West Wales who told me the first book he had as a child was about cattle, and his great concern 60 years on seemed to be doing right by his herd. Like, I really like that, and I can imagine that being a farm. And if I were going to eat meat, like that'd be, of course, the type of farm you'd want to get it from. I think, but the lie that is vegan, like for me, the reason I'm vegan isn't because, there's a lot of those, or there aren't, well, I don't know how to say this. It's not because I think that is the most wrong thing in the world to raise cattle like that and eat them. It's because by not being vegan, I'm somehow participating in that whole factory farm situation, which is completely different from this. This is nothing, right? What percentage of the farmed meats is this nice picture, kind of nice picture, of happy animals while they're alive, versus factory farming, which is like the ugliest, worst possible stuff you can imagine, the way it looks, at least from my viewpoint. Like, that's the reason people are vegan. At least I shouldn't speak for everybody. That's the reason I'm vegan, because I don't want to be part of that at all.
Mm-hmm.
And just saying, well, I'm going to support these other farms, these small ones, and I'm going to be careful. I don't think that works. I just don't think that would hold up or last or whatever.
Yeah.
So I just don't think I don't think this guy gets vegans. I don't think that's the lie. That's the lie at the heart of veganism.
Right.
I just don't, I don't know. I just don't get it. But I do think it's interesting. It in some weird way warms my heart to know that there are farmers that really do care about their animals like this. And it makes me want to watch the show and actually like understand that a little bit more and just see what it's like. So I probably will put on this and see if it's any good. I doubt I'll get that far into it, but I'm kind of curious now.
Yeah. I kind of Yep. But I mean, you're right. I mean, this is not a representation of the meat that most people are eating, or I mean, it would be very hard, I think, for most of us to only get meat from, farms that, quote unquote, cared for their animals.
Yeah, I'm with you. So I'm also reading comments. Let's see. So Leslie Knight loves Clarkson's farm. And then Mercy for the Animals, not probably the same as the Mercy for Animals organization, is in the comments arguing with, who you guessed it, Garuda Legends. Yeah, it's just too much for me to keep up on. But I see Mercy for the Animals saying he, she, they, not it, please, for the animals. That may be about us. I may have said it. I'm not really sure.
Oh yeah, I think both of us did.
Yeah, I'm not that conscious of that sort of stuff. And then, you a welfarist or abolitionist? I don't even know. I think that means, do you abolish animal agriculture, or do you want it to just be done well? And if it's done well, then it's okay. And that's actually is a really good question. I've thought about that a lot. I don't know where I come out on that. When I first got into veganism, my thinking was, I don't want to eat meat. It feels wrong for me to eat an animal. It just feels like something that shouldn't happen. And it'd be nice if the whole world didn't eat animals. But for me, on a personal level, I'm not going to. Nowadays, I don't know why, growing up, getting older, experiencing different viewpoints, like I find myself asking myself that question, like, is there a sort of natural relationship with animals that looks nothing like factory farming, but does involve humans, say hunting animals in the wild, not farming them necessarily, but hunting them in the wild, eating them. Like, is that in some way natural or ethically okay? And I don't know. I just like I haven't changed my eating habits or anything based on that. And that would take a dramatic, transformation or shift. But I do find myself just wondering. I don't know. I just so I think my like in the early days, it was like no animal should ever be killed for human food. It's just, and I want to exemplify that. And now I'm like, well, I don't know. Is it natural for some people for whom that's like their preference? Is that ethically okay? And I don't know. I don't have an answer. Just really don't know. All right. Anyway, the Mercy Venomous is asking good questions, and I unfortunately can't answer it. Well, if it's not needed, is it? If the killing is not needed, then is it ethical? And that's the big question. I don't know.
Yeah, big conversation.
Yeah, it is. And this is not at all, as I always try to clarify, like I've done zero reading about this stuff, and I always kind of intend to and want to. But for some reason, never make time. I'd like to be more well informed about the kind of ethical issues here. But I'm just not. On a different topic, Brandon Turner says, I was in Charlotte this past weekend. Have you been to Oh My Soul? And I have been to Oh My Soul. That's where I got there once, something that was pretty good. And then once I got one of these giant messy burgers that I hated. That made me like launch an assault, boycott of that kind of food, where they just give you a burger that's inedible. You just can't eat it. It's just not, I don't know what human it is meant for, because you can't put your mouth around it and it's going to slide all apart because there's 9 different sauces on there and a pineapple slice, and it's just not meant to stay together. But anyway, I think they have really good like milkshakes or something. I think my kids got milkshakes that they really liked. Vegan ones, of course. All right. Yeah, okay. I wish we could go into the comments. There's a lot of stuff here, but I can't. People know Jeremy Clarkson, though. Leslie Knight and Kate say he's a character. They love the show. He's a terrible farmer, knows cars a lot better. He was really sad when he took his animals to slaughter. See, I would really enjoy seeing that. I don't know why. Like, I want to see someone dealing with those feelings that I would deal with. Because I think there's this picture of farmers, like you said, there's a picture of farmers who just don't care, and the factory farmers, right? And that's so different. So like, I guess somehow I would gain something from seeing a farmer really struggle with that. And then go on being a farmer after that. I don't know. It just seems very hard. So I'm going to check out this show. All right. Anything else?
Let me know what you discover.
Yeah. I'm glad we almost didn't talk about that article because it wasn't kind of on the general like vegan negativity, although the headline sure was. But it just seems kind of far out from our stuff. But I like that. I think it's interesting. And then I'm glad we talked about it. All right. Anything else?
Biggest Little Farm is Brandon's recommendation.
I've heard of that. I don't know.
Yeah, I have heard about that as well. Cool.
Would you ever be a farmer, Doug, on an animal farm? Would you ever become like if you just sort of, retired, would you like do like vegetable farming? Could you see yourself doing that? I could see you being a farmer.
It's work. Like my friends, like I said, who we get the CSA from, they own a farm and run a farm, and it's just a lot of work. And their farm's not huge. I mean, they have, I don't know, maybe 100 CSA people, and they do farmers markets and stuff like that.
Right.
It's not.
And if you hire people to do that work, it's kind of defeating the purpose, probably, right? Then you're
right.
Desk again. Yeah.
But I would love to one day have a really productive garden that I could eat most of my vegetables from throughout the year or throughout the summer.
Yeah, that'd be very, very fulfilling for sure. And you wouldn't have to deal with the slaughter at the end, the terrible part, which to me, like the farming thing sounds like that, just this sort of cool, idyllic thing. And then you're like, oh my God, you have to kill the animals at the end. It just sounds terrible. Like it would just be like
a vegetable farm. Where do we talk about?
I know. That's what I'm saying. Like, that's what's nice about that is then there's no this
side
that you'd have to deal with if you were a real farmer. And it sounds awful. I don't know. Just, I'm going to watch the show. Definitely going to watch this Clarkson guy.
Yeah, do it.
Okay.
All right.
Thanks everyone for listening. Tomorrow, 1 p.m. Eastern time, No Meat Athlete Radio / Plant-Based Morning Show. It'll be a good one. It'll be, I think a lot of fitness focus tomorrow. but we'll
That's
see.
right.
No promises. Depends kind of what's in the news.
Hope to see you guys there.
All right. Sounds good. Thanks for coming, everybody. Thanks for all the comments and discussion. I appreciate it.